Hello, my lovely ladies. Welcome and welcome back to the channel. My name is Isabel, and in this video, I'm going to be speaking to the ladies who have never been in a relationship or new to relationships because some of you ladies that I speaking to, you have told me you have not been in a relationship and really need, this kind of information. So I was definitely listening to you and wanted to give you tips. And just so if you ladies know or don't know, you can always reach out to me for a one-on-one goddess check-in. My information is in the description. It's just goddesscheckin@gmail.com, and you can just email me there. And also, if you want to check out the online dating course, which is The Feminine Way to Date Online, that course is also available, and that gives you like a private chat that you can reach out and talk in that community as well, where it's more private. So yeah, all of that is in the description. So we are going to get into this. I have a couple of things written down. So if you guys want to ask any questions or anything like that, please feel free to do that. This is our open time with one another, our own goddess check-in. And so always feel free to write in here. The first thing, like I said, if you haven't been in a relationship or just at all in general, just never been in a relationship, or someone that has been in a relationship before, but it's been years, and honestly, if you're around my age, which is in your like 30 or like late 20s or a little bit older, that must mean like you haven't been in a serious relationship. This video is going to definitely help you with that. And the first thing that I want to kind of touch bases on is having self-awareness. This is huge for every relationship in order for it to thrive, for you to do what you want out of the relationship, whether if you want to get engaged and get married, or you just want a long-term relationship. You're going to have to be very self-aware, and you're going to have to understand your values, your goals, the things that you want, and you're going to have to be very clear on this. Now, I do have my love book. I don't have it here with me, but it's in the description. It is absolutely free, so guys can download that, and that kind of gives you some prompts for you to write in, and you can just really put all of your goals and values and the things that you're looking for in a relationship in that, and that way you can see like what it is that you actually want. And it also has like an affirmation at the end for that relationship. But I think it's important for you to be aware of what you want, because so many times we just accept anything because we don't have a clear vision of what it is that we want. And I always say focus on your values, the values that you want out of a relationship. It's not about the looks. It's not about, the complete superficial things, or it's like how many things you have in common. It is definitely about the values that are important to you, and if that person aligns with them. So that is number one that you must do in a relationship. Before you even get in a relationship, you have to be clear of the things that you want out of that relationship. The next thing to be aware of is having communication early on and having that honesty early on. So what I mean by that is, if you are sure that something this person is doing is not something that is aligned with you and you don't like it, and this happens in relationship. This is bound to happen. Not everybody's exactly alike and can agree 100% on things. There are times where you're going to just not like something, and instead of just holding it in, I always will tell you, say what you need to say. Speak up for yourself, say something. I know in my marriage, that is something that we both do with one another. If it's something that he is doing that I'm not okay with, I'm going to say something. If it's something that he's doing, that I'm doing, that he's not okay with, he's going to say something. You have to have that open honesty and communication with one another in order for the relationship to get anywhere. It's not about like, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want him to think that I'm hard to deal with and blah, blah, blah. No, it's not about that. It's about having enough of a connection where you can be open and honest with each other when something isn't right, and give them the opportunity to respond, so you don't have to jump to conclusions and make up things in your head. Because when you hold yourself back or become passive aggressive, or really just like try to push it to the back of your mind, you're going to become resentful, because what your mind is going to do is continue to collect all that data, and it's going to make you feel resentful as it continues to collect and you don't say anything. So my advice is to just say what it is that you're feeling early on up front, because you're going to save yourself so much if you just do that, instead of trying to hold things in and not trying to be a problem, because that's not a problem. Everybody has differences. It's okay to have differences. It's okay to speak and have open communication. Hey, Kat. Hey, girl. How are you? Thank you for being here. Yeah. So and also, you want to have enough communication, especially if you are in a relationship, that you are actually asking important questions. And when you're asking these questions, you're actually listening for like signs that, okay, this is something that he really wants and something that he doesn't want. So I always tell you ladies, in the beginning of my relationship with my husband, he would say like a bunch of things, right? Men will tell you anything and everything under the sun that will sound pretty to your ears. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's true, right? It's just something that he will say. But once you get in a relationship with the guy, then you start at like really hearing what he's saying, and his actions start to match up. That is when you're really getting true information. When the representative is gone and it's just you and him, his true self, because now you guys are open and honest with one another, this is when you're going to hear the truth. Because there are times where women get in a relationship with a guy and say he doesn't want kids, right? But he's not going to tell you he doesn't want kids. He's going to say, oh, I guess I'm open to it. And then you're like, oh, well, maybe he's open to it. And I'm not saying that if a person says they're open to it doesn't mean that they're not going to want it. I'm just saying they're very vague about it. It's not very clear. Or he can say the same thing about marriage. Oh, I'm open to marriage, right? And then you get down into the relationship and then you realize, like, wait, hold on. He has no intention on having any children. He has no intentions on getting married because of XYZ. That's the type of information you take in, but you learn that as the relationship goes on. And I don't want anybody to be so connected to something that they don't know how to read the room and read the red flags. Once somebody shows you who they are, whether it's in the beginning of the relationship, in the middle of the relationship, or towards the end of relationship, it always starts to show itself sooner than when you actually come to grips with it. So keep that in mind as well. Um, you look gorgeous. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, girl. Yeah, I like just got off of a call and just jumped on here. So that's why I'm looking a little put together. I'm probably gonna go to lunch with my husband after. So yeah, decided to have everything like back to back. So uh another thing I want you ladies to just kind of, speaking on the same thing, is the actions over the words. This is very important for you ladies who have never been in a relationship or you're new to relationships. Never just trust a person's word. A person's word means nothing if they're not going to back it up or doesn't have proof of them backing up their words. So if this guy can tell you the sun, the stars, the moon, he can give you everything, right? Just in words. But can he actually give you the stars? Can he actually give you the moon? Can he actually show up? And I feel like a lot of the times men will romanticize you and give you this idea of what it's going to be like with them, and it's going to be so great, and they'll give you this fairy tale, but in reality that's just not what it is. And it's okay that that's not what it is, but you need to be vigilant and see, like, okay, that's not real. This is not something he's able to actually do. Like if a guy is saying, oh, I want to get a house, and I want have kids with you and a family with you. I want to do this and this and this. And you see that he's unemployed, or you see that his job doesn't pay him enough to do any of these things, or he's not really motivated enough to do those things. Then you have to put two and two together. You have to look out for his actions and the way that he shows up, not just the words that he says. And I say this all the time, but I think it's important to just really harp on that, especially if you're new to relationships or haven't been one in a very long time. As adults, you need to see him showing up, and that is very important for the longevity of your relationship and the maturity and honesty and openness of your relationship. So that is very important. Another good thing is to set boundaries early on in the relationship. There should be very clear boundaries that you have, things that you are not going to, overstep on yourself. Like, of course, relationship is compromised. We're always going to compromise. That's just the nature of relationships. We do it with platonic relationships and, serious relationships. But I think it's important for you to have your set boundaries where you're like, you know what, this is going to compromise my identity. This is going to compromise with the things that are my core values. I'm not going to stand for this. And I always say, that's why I tell you ladies early on, you need to write down your values, write down the things that matter to you, that are your non-negotiables. They have to be very clear to you, so then you don't overstep yourself. Because a lot of the times, the only reason why we compromise and try to do this is because we want somebody and we think that this is what we have to do to get them. But in reality, people respect the things that you respect. So if you respect yourself, people will respect you. And if a guy doesn't respect you or your boundaries, then is he really the right man for you? That is something to take away like 1,000%. If a guy does not respect you, respect your boundaries, is he the right man for you? Because no man is going to do that if he truly cares about you and wants to be with you. So please be mindful of that. That is a huge thing that I see so many women do, whether they've been in relationships all their lives or new to relationships, is just like overstepping the boundaries and taking things that they don't like. So if you do not want a man who cheats on you, if you don't want a man who disrespects you or yells at you or does, whatever it may be, whatever your boundaries may be, and this guy does it, I want you to address it. I want you to be firm with him. You need to let him know this is not going to work for me. You need to fix this. And if he doesn't fix this or he can't fix it, then you need to leave and you need to walk away from that, because it's not healthy for you and it's not going to bring you joy and happiness. Because ultimately in relationships, that's what you want. You want joy and happiness in your relationship. You don't want to be miserable in it. So I think that is a huge thing that if you're new to relationships, you need to know right there and then. Whatever it is that I want in my life and my boundaries, I'm clear on those things. He's going to respect them. And the same goes vice versa. So just to let you know. Agreed. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I think that these are a little bit of common sense, but I think it's important to let the common sense out just so you're very clear on what it is that you want. Another thing that I think a lot of the times when you're new to relationship, this ends up happening just off of you haven't been in a relationship in a long time, or you're new to relationships, is you need to really understand that friends become less of the priority they may have been in your life once you get into a serious relationship. And this is true once it's more of a serious relationship going towards engagement and marriage. You need to really see the hierarchy of your relationships in your life. Your parents and your immediate family, that could be like at the top. But as this person, and then your friends, and then this guy, right, and then acquaintances. But as this relationships gets more serious, goes into engagement, he climbs up that pyramid. He becomes the top priority. And even over your family, once you get to marriage and building a life together. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that because it's like, oh my God, there's even guys who would say, I would never put my mother in front of my wife, but in actuality, like that's your family now. Your wife is your family. That is the person that is over your wife, even legally, right? Because legally, I mean, most people know this, but if you don't know this, say if you're married to a woman and something happens to you as a man, his mother has no say so on what happens. If you're not married to anybody, then yes, the parents will have some say so, but that's only if you're not married. Once you get married, you get that top priority in that person's life legally. And that shows a lot because not only legally, this is the person you're going to be living with. This is the person you're going to share finances with. This is the person who you're building that with. And so as you move up this relationship and you move up these ladders, you're going to realize that I can't make girls' night the same way. I can't prioritize my girls over this relationship, especially if I want it to grow. And that's not always easy, especially if you haven't been in a relationship in a long time, because, most women, that have their core group of friends and, they feel obligated to these friends, and nobody wants to be known as the girl who chose her man over her friends. And I totally understand that. But you also have to now realize that those are platonic relationships, and now this is a serious romantic relationship, and that has priority. And your friends should understand that. If your friends are making you feel bad about that, if they're making you feel like, oh my God, you're a different person ever since you got in this relationship, and that you're trying your best, it's not like it's a toxic thing, it's just I need to prioritize this, I want to be with this person, I want to get married to them, this is an important thing, then maybe your friends aren't really the good people, because friends should encourage you to build this relationship and build your connection with this person. And so you're not going to be able to do brunch with them. You are going to go out with him and do things with him. Or if you guys are going to go out, sometimes he's going to come out too. Or, you got to have to realize, like, this person becomes part of your life. You're becoming a we. And I know this is like more of like when you're engaged and getting married, but it's important to realize that, because some women miss out on some really great guys because they can't really transition from that my friends over here and I'm a single woman here with my friends to, okay, I'm in a full-blown relationship, and yes, I still have friends, but this is now a priority. And I think that it's a very important transition to make, especially for the longevity of your relationship. So just keep that in mind. I hope nobody has that issue down the road, because I don't want that for anybody, because that's always very tricky. But I think it's important to know that as this relationship progresses, the hierarchy of relationship does change, and you need to respect that change, because you want him to feel like he's a priority the same way you would want him to make you feel like a priority. So just keeping that in mind. Another big thing that I see women do, and this is sometimes just because they want to be in a relationship so bad, and there are so many women who really do want a relationship. They're like, hey, I've been single for so long, I will take somebody. I want you to never accept a relationship with someone that you already know is not the match for you. I'm telling you, don't waste your time with it. Don't do it. If this guy isn't financially where you want him to be, and people are telling you, oh, he's a guy, or it's been so long, you haven't had anybody, you're getting older, maybe you should just take this person, but this person is not a match for you and your goals and your values, don't waste your time with it. Just end it, dead it right there. Don't, especially if you want a relationship that's going to matter in the long run. If you're just playing games and you just want a relationship just for a little bit of time, then fine, do whatever you need to do. But if you're looking for a relationship that's going to last a little longer, then you're definitely going to have to look at it from a perspective like, am I going to be able to deal with this for the long term? And if the answer is no, be real with yourself and end it before it even starts. So I say this all the time, but like, if this guy does not have the financial means that that he needs to be in a relationship with you, why are you even here? Why are you even wasting your time, right? Because you don't want to sound like a gold digger, or you don't want to be shallow or superficial. That's not going to help you in the long run. Wanting to sound like something or be like something just so other people don't judge you is not going to help you in the long run. If this guy is not what you want, don't take it. If the guy has 3 baby mamas and doesn't take care of any of his kids, but you think like, oh, he's so great and he's amazing to you, maybe you should just don't take it. Like, let's be smart. This is our lives that we're talking about, and you have to make sure the people that you get in a relationship with align with you for real, because then do you want to like just get into relationships back to back, especially if you're at a certain age and you want something serious? You're going to want to lock in with somebody that actually, is the person that you're supposed to be with, not someone that you kind of know it's not really good for you, but you're here anyways. Because I think that's just toxic and ridiculous, and you're just asking for drama at that point. Another thing that people need to understand is disagreements are normal. Me and my husband, we bicker, we get on each other's nerves. These things happen. This is relationship. And a lot of people who say like, oh, me and my partner never argue and we don't get into things. I think that's a little weird, because then someone's being fake, right? Because there's no way we're going to agree on things 100%. So yes, there are going to be arguments. That doesn't mean it needs to be blown up into a full-blown fight. You need to start yelling. You need to start, ending things. I don't believe in like getting in and out of arguments and breaking up. I think that's also very like not a good sign. Me and my husband, we've argued. I mean, we argue. I'm a Capricorn, he's a Sagittarius. We're going to argue. But we never broke up with one another. We never, I mean, we're married now, but like even before in our relationship, we never breaking up. It was just like, hey, you're getting on my nerves. But we've always looked at it, because we both have siblings. It's like, hey, siblings argue. That doesn't mean we're not going to be together. It just means we're arguing right now. We don't like what the other person did or said. That doesn't mean that we're going to blow up the whole relationship and we're going to act like it's bigger than it is, because it's not. And so that's something to know when you're in a relationship and you're learning one another, that you don't have to blow things up out of proportion. Just because you don't agree with one another or you're having an argument doesn't make it the end of the relationship. So I think that is important to just remember and have that open communication where you can speak to one another and say, hey, I don't like this. And hey, we get in an argument about it. It doesn't matter. We can move on. It doesn't have to blow up. But if it is one of your non-negotiables and it is a situation where it's like you did something that I do not agree with 110,000%, leave it alone. Because I mean, if the person already knows this is your non-negotiable, this is a boundary you set, and it's disrespectful to your relationship, like cheating or something like that, if that's not a go for you, then no, forget it. I mean, some women, cheating doesn't matter to them, right? They're okay if you do that. That's not a non-negotiable for them. But if it is for you, then fine. For other people, it's okay. But that's what I'm saying when I say you need to know what you want, that self-awareness of where you're at, what kind of person you are. This is funny, but me and my sister were kind of talking about this a couple weeks ago. And I was like saying to her, in my marriage, I'm the person who I truly am. In past relationships, I feel like I was myself, but not myself at the same time. Like I was doing things that didn't really align with me. I'm very like more introverted, but I know how to be extroverted, but I like to be at home. Like I'm a little bit of a homebody at night, right? During the day, I like to be outside. I like to enjoy the day, but at night, I don't like to be outside. I don't like to go out to clubs. I don't really like the vibe of being outside at night, unless I'm going to a restaurant or going to a show or seeing something like that. That's just who I am. My husband is similar to me, right? And so we agree on that level where we're like, okay, we like to do our thing during the day. We can do a day party, we can do dinner, early dinners, we can do things that we like. We bike ride, we work out, we play golf, we do a bunch of things together and run our errands outside. My sister, on the other hand, she likes to be outside at night. She likes to have that energy of the nighttime. Not saying that she doesn't like the daytime, but she does like the night. And her man and her like to do the same thing, right? They like to go out at night. They like to vibe out. They're into that thing. So I think this is discovering things about yourself and what truly aligns with you, and say, you know what, I like to do this. This is who I truly am. And I think that like so many people are on rinse and repeat. They don't know who they are because they haven't taken account of like any accountability of figuring out who they are. So this is your time, especially in the beginning of your relationships, to show who you truly are, because this person should see you, and there shouldn't be walls up where you're hiding yourself from this new relationship. Regardless if you've been hurt in past relationships or you've heard stories of women being hurt in their past relationship, this is your relationship. So you need to be present. You need to be honest of what you want in it and what you want it to look like, because it's your relationship. I can't make that relationship for you. Nobody online can tell you what your relationship needs to look like. It's up to you to have the relationship that you want to have. And so being open and honest with yourself and in this relationship, that is the best thing to do. You have to be clear about that. Um, Another thing to just keep an eye out is the maturity level of the guy in the relationship. We all know men age 10 years backwards, right? So if you're 30, he's 20. You know, if you're 40, he's 30. Like that's just how I see it with men. They are lacking in the maturity level. So that's why I always say, you know, date an older man. Just if you want him to be at the mindset that you're in, you probably should date older and not younger. And even when it comes to same age, you're probably not going to get the maturity that you want. And you want that mature man. You want a man who is serious. You don't want him to be, oh my God, he's jokey all the time. He's not a serious man. No, you need him to be mature. You need him to be serious. You want him to respect the things that you're saying and to follow through on his commitments and the things that he's said to you. These are very, very important things that you cannot compromise on, because his maturity level is going to show where you guys end up in the future. If this guy is not mature and doesn't take things serious, your relationship is not going to be a mature one and not going to be a serious one. You need to make sure you're with an adult, right? You need to make sure the adults are in the room and are in charge, that it's not just you, because at that point, if he's immature and you're mature, you're gonna give off that mother energy. And you don't want to give that in a relationship. You want to stay in your princess energy. You want to stay in that fun, light, loving, nurturing energy, because that's going to be ultimately what he's going to fall in love with you with. But if he is in this immaturity, boyhood, prince energy, then you're never going to get the relationship you want from him, because you're going to be trying to drag him into something he is not ready for yet. And once he does get ready for it, it's not going to be for you. So I spoke about this earlier videos about that Prince Charming energy, whereas though you may come across a guy who has a great job and has a nice place and, you know, does all the outwardly great things that we speak about. But mature wise, identity wise, he is not there. He's still in his prince energy. This guy still wants to cheat. He still wants to party. He wants to see how many women he can sleep with. That's the kind of guy you need to watch out for, especially when you're new to a relationship, but you want a serious relationship. If you're new to relationships, but you're not serious, then fine. You can date those guys. They're great to date. Take full advantage of all the fun and the bachelor lifestyle can give you. But once you're serious about a guy, you need to find a man who's already in his king energy. He's already played the game, cheated, dated all the girls he wanted to date. He's now looking at for his queen, the woman that he's going to actually be with. And the funny thing about that is most men who get to that point, they usually end up marrying or getting with the woman who is closer to them, right? Whoever that woman is like just the woman that he found great and was like, yep, she's her. It doesn't take much going off of that. So I think that it's important that you line yourself up with men who are like that, because they're serious and they're mature enough to just go. They're not waiting. They're not wasting your time. They're not saying, I don't know if we want to get married. They're not doing any of those things. Especially when you're new to a relationship, you need to learn how to identify those guys like very early on. But the Prince Charmings are so easy to to see. And it doesn't mean anything with his age. There are men who are in their Prince Charming energy at 50. That doesn't matter his age. It just shows you he is not at that maturity level you need him to be. And that is very important. Another thing to really look for in a good thing to look for in the man is where he sees your relationship going and how much he wants to provide for that relationship. You want a man who is going to want to provide for you, regardless if he can do it at a scale that you want him to do it now, and can get, and it's more so as if he wants to do it. Does he want to provide? There are men who have enough money to provide for you but don't want to do it. They're like, hey, I need you to handle your side of things. That is not a relationship. That is a partnership, and that is not what we're looking for. We're not looking for partnerships where it's, you're on your own for this and I'm on my own for this, and like we just sleep together. That's not a relationship that you want. You want someone who wants to take care of you. That is the position, the role that you want this man to be in. You want him to be a provider, and you want him to want to be a provider. That should make him happy to provide for you. So if that man does not want to provide for you and he bitches and moans about it, leave it alone. It's not worth your time. Focus on the men who want to do for you. That is going to help you so much in the long run, I guarantee you, than it is wasting time trying to convince a man to provide for you. And most of you ladies know that already, but I had to put that out there just so you know, because I don't want you wasting your time, saying like, oh, well, he has a great job in this, but he doesn't want to do this. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. It's not that he's cheap. He just doesn't want to provide for you, and you need to accept that and move on from that. Another indication of this is he doesn't, really feel like he's close to you like that, where he feels like it's his priority to take care of you, like that he feels obligated to take care of you. And that's because, you may have set the tone that, you're not someone who needs to be taken care of. And that's why I tell you ladies, always stay in your princess energy. You need to be in the energy of receiving. You need to be in the energy of like, I receive. Another thing on top of that I just want to throw this in here, because sometimes women ask me, especially if they haven't been in a relationship in a while, should they be telling the guy that they haven't been in a relationship? I'm going to say no. The reason why I don't think it's important or advise you to tell a man that you have never been in a relationship, or that you haven't been in a relationship in a long time or never been in a serious relationship, is because when a guy feels like no man wants you, it becomes hard for him to want you. And I know that sounds counterproductive a little bit, but it's true. I've seen it happen so many times. A man wants a woman that other men want, even if he's jealous, even if he feels like, oh my God, why are all these guys looking at my girl and stuff like that? He wants a woman that other men want. So it makes him look good as a man. It's his ego. I mean, whatever it is, you can call it unhealthy, whatever it is. If a guy believes that, or you tell the guy you've never been in a relationship, he's going to take that as no man has ever wanted you, especially if you are not a virgin. So he's going to take that as men will sleep with you, but they will never lock you down. There must be something wrong here. Why don't men want to be in a relationship with you? So instead of making his mind go there, we're just not going to say that anyways. We're just not going to say that you've never been in a relationship. I always say, tell the guy you were in a serious relationship. You can say 3 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever it ended. Say anything, the reason why it ended. It didn't end like terribly. It just, you either drifted away or you moved away or he moved away or whatever the case may be. Don't let him know that you've never been in a relationship. It's actually not an important fact. It's not something that, is going to change anything. And I think the same thing goes for, yeah, it is true. I totally believe that men want a woman that other men want. And if he finds out that no man has wanted you, it just happens that then he doesn't want you. So don't say that. And the same goes with being a virgin. I know men on the internet swear up and down they want virgins, they want women who are pure. That is not the case, especially if you are of a certain age. Now, if you are young, sure, of course, we would expect, right? Not expect, but it's okay, it's appropriate. But once you're late 20s, 30s, 40s, and you're still a virgin, I would not tell the guy that. I would not say it at all until you're just about to do the do. Then I would probably, in the moment say, oh, when things may not feel 100% correct. I'm not trying to be vulgar, but you get what I'm saying. So I would not say that either, because the same still applies. People don't want that stigma of like, oh, I'm going to be the one to do this to her. That means I have to lock her down or be with her and anything. I would not make that a conversation. I would not make that part of my personality and who I am. I would never speak about it. That is a personal decision with you and yourself. And you do need to keep those things to yourself, right? Not everybody needs to know every single part of you, not even your husband, not even, like if you need to tell somebody, hopefully you're like me and you have a sister you can go and speak to about it, or you get a therapist and go speak to the person. But I wouldn't be telling a guy that I'm a virgin, especially once I'm a certain age. And most of the time it would never come up unless you come and say something. And there's really no benefit of saying it. I don't think it helps in anybody's case. If you're trying to make him like you more, saying that is not going to help. It may go against you. So I would not suggest doing that either. And if you do feel compelled to say it, just be open to some weird conversation or a pullback on his side. I'm just telling you how men are. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying, men do want a woman who other men want or other men have had. It just is what it is, because they like that idea of like, I got this prize and, every guy here wants her. Like it's that thing where it's like, it's a pride thing, right? So you can't really explain it. It may not make sense all the time, but it is what it is. Another thing to just look out for in relationships is if your man is petty. That is huge. I do not like a petty man, or a man who gossips, or a man who is just acting. And I hate to say like acting like a woman, because like, what are we trying to say? Like women don't know how to act. That is definitely not, correct. There's not all women who sit there and gossip and are petty, but those those attributes have been put to women. And so when men do that, it's very like, it's a turnoff, and it's not showing his maturity. And also it comes off very feminine. It comes off like, why are you in women's business? And if a man is being petty with you, if he is being gossipy with you, if he's coming off like that, I would question what kind of relationship are we having, and what kind of man am I with? Why are you interested in these things? And that's why I say a lot of these guys who sit on the internet and talk about relationships and stuff like that, I'm always like, why are you talking about this? Why do you care? Like, what? I mean, and they're being petty about it, and they're, bringing down women, or, having these conversations. It comes off very feminine to me, because I feel like that is not a masculine conversation. Like, I would like to hear men speaking about business or manhood or something that is more towards the masculine, and I would let women speak more towards the feminine. And I know that's not all the time and stuff like that, but if a guy is doing those things and being petty and telling you the latest gossip and is, interested in that, but can't tell you about a stock, can't tell you about what's going on in, the business world, or, what's going on in his business or where his career is going, but he's sitting here talking about petty things or being very feminine with you, I would definitely see that as a red flag. I would see that he's not very serious or mature or anybody who I want to start a life with. I would think that he's more of a friend, right? And I'm not going to question his manhood, but I'm going to say, maybe we're not aligned in that department. And I think that's good to know, because some women end up with very petty husbands, and I'm just like, what attracts you to that? Because that comes off as like, I'm not seeing provider protector from that. I'm seeing like a petty energy from that. So just be mindful of that, pay attention to those things. Um Another big thing, and I think before I get into the final couple of things, is sometimes as women, some women, we talk about this ad nauseum at this point because I always bring this up, but it's never going to be looks for me. Like, it's just never going to be a huge priority about the looks. I've dated men to look in all kinds of ways. I just have, I never really had like a set type. I've just always like dated the people that, aligned with the goals and values I had, and that they liked me, right? So it's just always been one of those things. And I feel like a lot of women place too much value in looks, and they feel like, that is the most important thing. It definitely is not. It's not the most important thing, because like my husband says, like, everybody's going to turn 50 and start looking middle aged, so it doesn't matter that much. You need to see more past the looks, and you need to see, what this person has and is willing to bring to you in this relationship. Now, at the end of the day, I'm not saying, my husband is a good looking guy. I know that. I love my husband. I think he's great. I did not look at him for looks. A lot of you ladies know that already. Just needs to say that. But I need you to know, right? Some people are that girl, right? Some people, you're that girl. You gonna get this guy that look like that. He got this kind of thing. That's just what you're gonna get, because you're that girl. Not everybody's that girl. Not everybody's a 10. Not everybody, is going to get the guy that, everybody wants. It's not, you're not that girl all the time. And that's okay. You don't have to be, right? Because there are plenty of attractive, good people in this world. You don't need to be that girl that gets everything. And honestly, you shouldn't even want to be, right? You shouldn't even want that kind of thing. You want somebody who fits for you. You want somebody who's willing to invest in you, somebody who's willing to love you and be good to you. That's what you're looking for, not this social media idea of what a relationship looks like. When you see these social media relationships, and it's like, well, we're supposed to look like this, and we're supposed to do this and do that, and be looking like this, and take this perfect picture. Like, leave that alone. Be in your actual relationship. And that's what I always say, is like, so many people live online, but they're not living in real life. Their real life is happening, and they don't know anything that's going on in real life. And they just live on this online bubble and not realizing, like, that's not real life. And the more and more you ladies live in your real life, the more you're going to see, like, oh, this is what actually works for me. I actually don't care about this thing and that thing. And that's why it's important that you are very self-aware, and you know what it is that you want, that you're writing this stuff down, that you're getting yourself ready for that relationship, and you're really seeing what matters to you. So that is very huge. And I think it's also tied in with like knowing when a guy likes you, because there are so many times where women are with men and it's like, you know, you think he likes you because he's in a relationship with you, or you guys live together, or he's sleeping with you, and the whole time this guy doesn't like you. This guy, and there are signs that he doesn't like you. Other people are picking up, like, I don't know how this guy feels about her. Like, it's coming off that he doesn't really like her that much, but you're so enthralled of just having a relationship, you don't even realize that you're a placeholder. You should always feel like this man likes you, like, not even love, that he likes you. That is a different energy, because a man could say, I love her, I got mad love for her, but I don't really like her like that. That is a completely different energy, right? That's sometimes with me and my siblings, right? Sometimes they're like, I love you, but I can't stand you. I do not like you. Like, and that's relationship, that's family. But in a romantic relationship, you need to make sure this guy likes you, because he can be wasting your time. Men get in relationships for a whole different types of reason. He can get in a relationship just to sleep with you. He can get in a relationship just to have you as a placeholder, or have a warm body in his bed, or have a woman just to say he has a woman, or to bring around certain people. But he could 100% not like you and be looking for the woman that he really likes the whole time. So it's important to pick up on the tips and seeing if this guy actually likes you or not. And if he doesn't like you, even if you like him a lot, you need to be okay with noticing and knowing he doesn't like me. This isn't going to work. And I guarantee you that is way better than along the line, years down the line, of you being in this relationship. And then one day, either he walks away, or one day you have to walk away, because it's just unbearable at this point. He's never going to marry you, be with you in any kind of significant way. And I'm telling you, this guy could, he could even marry you, but this guy can have kids with you. He can, be in a relationship with you. He can introduce you to his, he can do all of that, and he's still not like you. So I think, that's the tricky part of relationships, is like, that's the truth. That's somehow some men operate, because they want someone there and they don't want to be alone. And it's you. And as soon as they meet the girl that they really want to be with, then it's not you. So I think that is important to keep in mind. Another thing that I just kind of wanted to be in the fun of things, just giving you a little more tips about like men in general, especially if you have never been in a relationship. I think it's important to know, like, men want to have fun with you. They want to laugh with you. They want to like have a good time with you. They would love for you to just be there and be smiling and enjoying your time with them. That is what they genuinely want. And they want that physical affection. They want hugging. They want kissing. They want touching. They want all of that. They want to feel you and be with you. So I know some women sometimes, are a little more reserved, especially if they haven't been in a relationship or haven't been in one in a long time. This is not the time to be reserved, especially once you're in a relationship. I'm not trying to tell you you need to sleep with anybody or do anything, but once you're in a relationship, this is like, it should be fun. You should be hugging, you should be kissing, you should be jumping on each other, you should be laughing, having jokes, having your own little conversation, like being in your own vibe. Like, it needs to be fun. So many people are boring, and they blame like really good guys who are mature and serious and doing great and love them and want the world for them, and women will sometimes sabotage this because it's boring and because it's not toxic or filled with drama, because that's what they're used to. They're like, oh, like this relationship is boring. It's like, no, you're boring. Why are you not having fun? Why are you looking for toxicity? None of you ladies need to be doing that, especially when you're new to the relationship. I need you to focus on the fun. What do we like to do? I want you in your kid energy. I want you playing. I want you laughing, making jokes, being cute with each other, having nicknames with each other, just being in each other's vibe, because men are like little boys. They want to have fun. They want to wrestle. They want to like they just want that energy from you. And that's a perfect time for you to be in your princess energy and explore and have fun and be light with this man, because at the end of the day, that is what is going to make the relationship last. The way you guys stay in your kid energy together, not being immature, but genuinely having joy with one another and having fun with one another. And like I said, you're going to argue. You're not always going to get along. Things are going to be serious when they're serious. But when it's time to have fun, you have to have fun. When it's time to be affectionate, you have to be affectionate. You can't push a guy away with the affection. If he comes into the room, give him a kiss. If he, is having a hard day, massage his shoulders. Be loving and be feminine and just be that light for yourself. One thing I always take away from my husband, I think he even wrote it in the vows, but I think this is something that I loved when he said to me, is that I look like I am. He was like, when I'm with you, it's like I get to enjoy life because you're enjoying life so much. Like you genuinely enjoy life. And that is because I want to enjoy life. I want to be happy. I want to have fun. And the more that I'm able to give that to myself, it resonates with everybody else. I'm a big kid. Like I grew up watching WWE. I had a nephew, I had sisters. I was playing outside with the girls and boys. I was sledding down hills. I was playing football with, I was that kind of kid. I did everything and everything. I danced ballet for most of my life, but I was still open to everything. So with my husband, I am that girl. Like it was like we're going to have fun no matter what. And it doesn't have to be drama. It doesn't have to be ridiculous. It just needs to be genuinely enjoyable. And when you're in that relationship, I want you ladies to be in that relationship to have fun. That is it. I'm here to have a good time. And I bet you 1,000% that man will fall in love with you. He will want to be with you because he's like, this is genuinely a good time. And all of the things, right? He already is attracted to you. He already wants, the world with you. He's totally seeing that. But if you're just a bore or if you're just reserved, all of that goes out the window, right? And I know we're elegant women. We want to look good and put together and proper. I do it all. But when it comes to our genuine time together and our joking together, and some of you ladies know this, my husband said he fell in love with me when I mocked him. When he said something and then I just was like, oh, no, 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 no. And I mocked him saying it in like a weird, he was like, that's when I fell in love with you. Cause I was like, whoa. She's like, okay, like, like he was like, this is the vibe that we're in, right? Because I'm that, like I said, I grew up with siblings. I'm that good, like, I'm gonna have a good time. It's not different from my personality to be like that. But when the person first meets me, that's not who I give them, right? I'm more put together. I'm a little more elegant. But then as I get to know them, then my true personality comes out. And it's like, wow, you're a really good time. Like I'm having fun with you. Like, wow, okay, I didn't know that. And that's the same thing. Like when I was in Germany last month visiting my sister-in-law and her husband and children, and we were hanging out, we were skiing and stuff like that, and we were just like vibing out with one another because she lives all the way in Germany, so I don't get to hang out with her as much. And like she's like, well, this is my real personality. I'm like, well, this is my real personality, and like we're having a good time. Like that's when the connection grows. And so, like I said, once you're in that relationship, it's no longer dating. This is just about the relationship. Then you start showing like how much of a good time you truly are. And things don't get boring. And even in the boring moments, it's still a good time because you're enjoying life. You're enjoying where you're at. So I just wanted to put that out there for you ladies. The intimacy point of the physical affection, that is very important for men. They're always going to want that. You need to be okay with that. If you're going to be in a relationship, I know some people need a little more coaching with that. You can always reach out to me. I can help you with that. But I think it's important to know, like, if you are in a relationship, you can't not hug, kiss, hold hands. I know this sounds, but I've seen it, and I'm always baffled by it when I don't see a couple being affectionate with one another. And it's not about PDA, but it's more about like just their level of intimacy that you can almost like feel the chemistry. And if you don't have that with your partner, that is a red flag. That is something to be worried about, because you do want that man to feel that intimacy between you guys, regardless if you slept with each other or not. It's like important to build that. And by hugging and kissing, you're building that intimacy. And that's really what's going to solidify the relationship, especially in a man's eyes, where he's like, me and her have this, unspoken thing. We know each other, we feel each other, even if he can explain that or not. So that is all of what I had to say. I know this was a lot. I did a lot of talking. And if there's any questions, I can take anything. But like I said, ladies, if you want to have a one-on-one goddess check-in with me, feel free to reach out with me. I love doing them. This is like you can set up for an hour or longer. I have like package deals and all this stuff, but we really get to like get into your love life. If you have an online dating profile, I will look at that. I will go through it with you. If you just want online dating help and coaching, you can reach out to me there. But I also have the Feminine Way to Date online coaching course, and that is there. I go through all of the steps of setting it up, how to pick the men, all of that. I did all of that for you ladies. And also there's a private group chat in there where if you have any questions or anything, I go in there and I answer anything you I don't see any questions, so I am going to sign off. Like I said, I have lunch with my husband, so that's going to be really fun. I'm happy to be back this week. I said I was going to do at least one live a week, so I am happy that I showed up this week. Thank you guys for last week, and I will be back next week. I need to get like a straight schedule of what day works for me, so let me know what days may work for you guys, so then that way I can like just do my lives every day at the same time. I think noon works best for me here. So let me know in the comments, or if anything that I missed or any questions that you may have, put them in the comments. I'm always here to answer for you ladies. And yeah, thank you so much for catching up, listening, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.